Let's make a resin heart. So today we're going to be using this deep pour epoxy from Let's Resin. It works great because the mold we are using today is gigantic. It is 28 ounces. I was working on a few different projects. We're going to be pouring this project in a few different layers. So I'm going to mix up my deep pour epoxy. This is a 2-to-1 ratio epoxy. So you need 2 parts A to 1 part B. So I just poured in 16 ounces part A, and now I'm going to pour in 8 ounces part B to make 24 ounces total. When you mix up 2-to-1 ratio epoxy, think of increments of 3. So you're going to want to do 3 ounces, 6 ounces, 9 ounces, 12 ounces, 15 ounces, and so on. That is the easiest way to get your measurements down, and it's not confusing. And like I said, it's 2 parts A to 1 part B. So if you want to mix up 9 ounces, you're going to do 6 ounces part A and 3 ounces part B. We're going to mix this up for 3 minutes. Mixing slowly, scrape the bottom of your cup, scrape the sides of your cup, scrape off your spatula. I like to use spatulas to mix my resin because the wood stir sticks are not sealed or treated in any way, so they can leak air into your resin and cause more air bubbles. And the spatula is just easier when I use my double cup mixing technique, and you're going to see that here in just a minute. So just mix, mix, mix for 3 minutes. All the materials are from Let's Resin that I'm going to be using today. Discount code NAPTIME will give you a discount if you're watching this video on YouTube. Everything will be linked down in the description box with direct links so you can get any of these products. I love their deep pour epoxy. It works amazing and it has hardly any bubbles. So here we are. It's been 3 minutes. This is the double cup mixing technique. We're going to pour that mix that we mixed up into a new clean cup. And this is where your spatula comes in handy. This helps scrape every single drop out of your first cup into your new clean cup. You want to make sure you get every drop out of there, because if you don't, then your measurements will be off and your epoxy may not set up properly. If your epoxy is not correct or your parts are not equal, it will not set up, or if it's under mixed, it will not set up. And doing this double cup mixing technique ensures that your epoxy is completely mixed. And you can see right here, do you see those darker spots? That was not mixed. It looked like it was mixed, but when I completely scraped the bottom of my cup, there was a little bit of part A down there that was not completely incorporated, and you can see it really well right here. See the striations and stringy lines? That is not mixed. It looked like it was mixed in that first cup, but it was not. So now we're going to mix for another 3 minutes. And if you mix your epoxy like this, you're not going to have any issues with your epoxy not setting up properly. And I do recommend you wear a respirator mask when you work with epoxy, and wear nitrile gloves, long sleeves, and work in a well-ventilated area. We're just going to keep mixing, and then we'll be ready to pour. And you might see a few little bubbles in there, but the Let's Resin epoxy degasses really well on its own. So after you mix, just let your resin sit for about 5 minutes, and you'll see all those bubbles rise up to the surface and pop on their own. So now it's been 3 minutes. Here we are. We're going to get ready to pour. Here's the mold. This mold is so cool. It's an Anatomical heart resin mold. It takes 28 ounces of resin, so it is large. But like I said, we're going to be pouring this one in a few different layers. And this piece is kind of like a memorial piece for my sister and my grandma who recently passed away. They both had heart problems, so I wanted to make this to kind of do a memory piece for them, because this mold is actually really cool, and you'll see at the end it looks like an actual heart. It's very, very cool. So I just took some of that clear and I took a little spouted pouring cup. You can also get these from Let's Resin. And I'm pouring down into the arteries and details of the mold. I wanted to really get down there and use clear so I could see any bubbles that might be trapped in the arteries or details of the mold. So I wanted to do this first layer all clear, because sometimes if you're using pigmented resin, you can have a bubble trapped and you won't see it because it's not clear. It's dark or got glitter in it, and you won't know until you demold it. So I knew I wanted to take my time and do clear on this first layer, and I'm just going to take my cup of resin and fill up the mold all the way to cover the arteries. And you can see here I'm kind of squeezing the bottom of the mold to release any bubbles that might be trapped in there. And I'm just going to fill up all the way till the arteries are covered. And that was it. I want to say this took about 8 ounces on this first layer. Like I said, this mold is big, it's 28 ounces. So I knew I wanted to, take my time and not mess this up because 28 ounces is a lot of resin. And now I'm going to go in with some dichroic glass and just sprinkle this right on top of that clear, and we're going to let it cure overnight, and then we'll be ready to move on to layer number 2. And this glass is heavy, so it will sink a little bit, but not too much, and you'll see at the end of the video when we demold this. Just going to sprinkle the rest that I had inside my cup. And that's it. Let it cure overnight. This is the next day. Here's how it was looking. We're going to go in with some glitter, and I'm just sprinkling that into the mold directly. You can get the holographic glitter from Let's Resin's website. And I'm going to take the mold and move it around so the glitter is completely covering the interior of the mold. This is going to help you get an overall look of glitter. If you're using glitter mixed with clear resin, sometimes the glitter will sink and then you'll be able to see the clear where the glitter has sunk down. So if you cover your mold with the glitter, it's not going to matter if your glitter sinks. It's going to give you an overall look of glitter. And that tip came from my friend Rita. Thank you so much if you're watching this. She told me to try that and it works amazing. So I went in with 8 ounces, filled it up, and we're going to let it cure overnight and then go in the next day and fill up some more. I was getting so mesmerized by watching the glitter move. I did have a few air bubbles kind of pooled towards the center. I didn't do anything about those because I knew I was going to be going in the next day, which is right now, and filling up the mold the rest of the way, and that was going to cover those air bubbles that kind of pooled in the center. I let that final layer cure overnight. Here we are, getting ready to take it out of the mold. I pulled the mold to the side, squirted down a little bit of 91% isopropyl alcohol, and just worked that around with my gloved hand, kind of squeezing the side of the mold to get that alcohol down into the mold, because sometimes these are hard to get out and the 91% isopropyl alcohol really helps. Some people use soapy water. I personally do not, but they say it works well. I just don't want to deal with having to clean soapy water or soap out of my molds, so I use the 91% isopropyl alcohol. But here's how it turned out. I absolutely adore this piece. It turned out perfect, and you can see all the details on this mold. It's really cool. It's got the veins, the arteries, all that. I think it's a great memorial piece for my grandma and my sister. And this would be a cool gift for like a cardiologist. They could put it in their office or something like that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I got all the supplies from Let's Resin. I will link them down below, and discount code NAPTIME will give you a discount. This mold is really awesome. They have everything you need to do resin on their website. And don't forget to follow me for more videos like this and subscribe on YouTube at Naptime Creations. Bye guys, thanks for watching.